So let me go to our VPC and then go to actions and see whether if the DHCP hostname is enabled or not. So it's not enabled, so make sure to enable that, right? And then make sure as well to go to DNS resolution as well and save the changes. Then come back here to our controller forward and try to refresh. Now let's ping from the instance that belong to the first account here, that it has 12, and ping for test.abdelali.com. Now the ping work from it, and if I try to ping about abdelalitraining.com, the ping work as well. And if I come back to the other instance and try to ping to test.abdelali.com, right now the ping working properly. That's good. Now the other step that we have to do is now try to connect our ADFS server and our AWS single sign-on. So let me come back to my account and then go to AWS single sign-on here, and then go to dashboards, and then here I will choose your identity provider. Then in the identity source I will change the identity source and go with external provider. But before that, before keep progressing, I will use these credentials to create what we call it in ADFS the relay trust party. So go to ADFS management, and here we'll create relay party trusts. And what mean that? Why? What does that mean? Actually, this AWS single sign-on, when we will create a provider, it will provide us with this custom or this user portal URL. And once we enter this portal URL here, then this URL will redirect us to the ADFS server. But if this ADFS server is not allowing, is not creating a trust relationship with our AWS single sign-on, then the ADFS will not respond on that request, and will have an error comes to the page, or an error will occur. So to enable or to allow this AWS single sign-on to redirect a request to our ADFS server, we have to create a relay trust, a relay party trust here, and then ADFS will allow that AWS single sign-on to redirect request to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create a relay trust a relaying party trust. So for that, I'm going to dashboards, choose your identity provider, scroll down, and then action, change identity provider and external identity provider. And these URLs, both of them, will use them when we are trying to create a relay trusting part. So we are going to relay party trust, and then add a new relay trusting part. I will click on start. I will enter the data about the relay part manually, and display name is ADFS SSO. Click on next, click next, and then here we'll enable SAML. And for the URL, we'll choose this one and we'll paste it here. Click on next, and for relying party trust identifier we will choose this URL and paste it here and click on add. Click on next. We will permit everyone to access to this ADFS server that has a trust relationship between the AWS single sign-on. Click on next and close. Then we'll go to this ADFS single sign-on rely party trust and then edit the claims. Click on add new roles, and then we click on transform incoming claims. And for specific one, right, we can go to the documentation here and look for AWS single sign-on and ADFS, and then there will be here a documentation, and then we can follow that together. So we can, as you can see here, I will call this name role for SSO, and then for the claim we'll use user person and name, and then for the outgoing claim we'll choose email. Let me come back here and say name ID. We choose name ID, and then the format, it will be an email, right? Click on next and then finish, apply, and click on next. Another thing here is that we have to provide AWS single sign-on with this SAML metadata. And what is the responsibility, or what this SAML metadata do? Is telling to AWS SSO to which ADFS server you will redirect the request once the user will use this single sign-on URL, portal URL, and will paste it on his browser, to which ADFS server it will redirect that request. And to obtain that metadata, we'll go to our file here, guide file, and then go to this URL within our ADFS server and open Chrome, and then we will paste that request here, and in your server name we will replace it with our ADFS server training.com, and we'll hit enter, and then this metadata XML file will be opened for us. We'll copy it and then go to our folder here and then paste it. Then we will go choose file and then go to our AWS VPN and then upload this metadata. We'll get next, right, and then review all of that. We hit accept and then change identity provider. Another thing here you have to do, because ADFS does not support the automatic synchronization of user, so we have to synchronize user manually. So for that, we'll go to users and then add a new user. So make sure that once you create a user here in your Active Directory, you provide, when you create user, you must provide the first name, the last name, and the email, right, and the display name as well. So for that, let me enter the username. It must be as same as, sorry, as the same as the email, and then scroll down, confirm the email and the first name EDFS is VC, and the last name. So we must to make sure that the same as here. The EDFS is VC, EDFS is VC, and then click on next, and then add that user. So what I'm going to do is go to dashboards or AWS accounts, and scroll down here and then copy this port URL, and make sure that you open that URL within your ADFS, because as you know that this URL will redirect me to my ADFS server, and as long as this ADFS server have a private IP address, then that private address, it will be not resolved my own browser, but it will be resolved within the same subnet, or within the subnet that have that DNS resolution. I will repeat, because as you know that this ADFS is not exposed publicly, it is accessible only privately. That's why I have to come to my Windows server and open that URL. Otherwise, if I open it on my own browser, it will be not be opened, right? This one, it will be opened here, but once it will try to redirect the request to my ADFS, this URL, right? It will be not reachable, right? So for that, let me open this one here, and this one will redirect me to my ADFS server, right, as you can see here. So I will open ADFS svc.training.com, and then the password, and then hit enter. Then it will take me to my application. For now, I have no application. So to allow this user to have an application, I must to come back to my AWS accounts, and here where my AWS organization will appear, and all the accounts within my organization will appear. And here I will choose an organization, and I will choose what are the users that I want to assign to a specific account, and then within that account, what are the permission that these users will have. So for that, I will choose this account, then assign a user. I will choose one of the user I have created earlier, and then I have already set some permission. I will choose both of this. This one have full access to S3, and this one have full access to EC2. So I will choose next, and then I will submit. So now if I come back here, and then I will try to close this one and open it again, and then try to paste that AWS SSO portal URL and try to click, hit enter. This time I have this account appeared here for me, and I will click on this account, and then both of this will appear. But let me try to repeat the same procedure. Open Chrome. I will sign on, and then repeat that. Now it will redirect me to my ADFS address, as you can see here. Then I will enter my Active Directory user, and then once I will enter the credentials and provide the password and hit enter. Sorry, you have done a mistake here, and hit enter. Then it will redirect me to my applications. So I will click on this one, and I choose S3 full access. I will choose management console, and it will redirect me to my account, and then it will provide me with the S3 full access, as you can see here. So now, for example, if I check for S3, then I have full access. As you can see here, this is my user, and this is the name of the role I have provided to it, and this is the buckets I have access to them. So if, for example, I want to go to EC2, I must to have an error because I didn't provide, yes, as you can see, AP error, because I have not provided this user with the sufficient permission to access EC2 management console. The last step here for this lab is try to create a trust relationship between your ADFS server and your Office 365. So for that, first thing we are going to do is to create an admin user on our Azure Active Directory, then log in to our Windows server using the terminal, and log in and establish a connection between our Azure Active Directory, then create a ADFS server and Office 565 trust relationship. And once we create that trust relationship, once we will come to ADFS server relying party trust, we will find that automatically the Office 365 creates a trust relationship for us. So without going too deeply to theory, let us go to the hands-on to see how that works. So I will use these credentials, but first let me go to my ADFS portal. I have already created this user, but let me show you how you can create that user for yourself. So you go user, and then enter, create first the username, and then and then scroll down, you give it, you create him a password, right? And then click on create. Once that user create, you can come to that user, click on him, and then assign roles, and then search for global or click on add assignment, and then look for global administrator, because this user already have this role, that's why it is not showing here. So let me come back to my users, and then check for this user and copy its email because they will use it now, and they will paste it here, right? Then I will choose this command that will enable me, but first let me install this module that enable me to interact with my Azure account. So PowerShell, open it as an administrator, and then paste that command here. So once this module will be installed, then we will be able to log into our Azure account. Click on yes. Click on A. So it is installed now. Let me copy and paste this here, and it asks me for the credentials, so we'll paste that here and then provide the password, then click on enter. So the login succeeded, and next thing we have to do is to set MS all ADFS context. And what means that this we are saying to our Active Directory that once we will type a domain name with a user with this domain name, please forward the traffic to this ADFS server. So we have to come here and paste that here, and then add the ADFS server dot my domain name .com, and then hit enter. And before going to the other step, you have to do something before that. The other thing that you must have here is that the domain name that you are using, this domain name that you are using privately, it must be publicly as well. And this domain name, I have already, once I started this lab, I have told you that I will tell you why I have chosen this domain name, because I have already a domain name, a public domain name on Amazon or on Amazon Route 53. If I go to hosted zones, I have this domain here. So what you have to do, you have to add a trust relationship between your Azure Active Directory and this domain. And to do that, there are two ways. Either you go to admin.microsoft admin.microsoft.com, right? Or you can go to your Azure Active Directory and scroll down and go to custom domain names. So you'll find that this domain is already verified. So you go to this add custom domain name and you enter your domain name. Then Azure will ask you to create this record in your domain name. So make sure to add this record to your Route 53. So to add that record, you click on create a record, and then here they ask you to create this alias, and you don't need to ask it. You are asked only to copy this value and come directly. You can make this one empty and check the CNAME and then paste that here, or sorry, txt, and then paste that here, and then click on create a record. And once you wait a little bit, then or once you create that record here, you can come back to your Azure directory and click on verify. So once this domain is verified, it will come here to you, the status is verified. So you have to make sure that you have a public domain name and this domain name is verified by Azure Active Directory. Otherwise, this command will not work for you and it will give you an error that this domain does not exist. So let me come here and then try to clear that. But before that, let me come back to my Active Directory. As you can see here, in relying party trust, there is only this, the ADFS single sign-on. But once I will run that command, then a new relay party trust will appear. So let me paste that domain here and then hit enter. So successfully updated this domain, and once I come back here and then try to refresh, and a new Microsoft Office 365 appeared here. So what is the next step here now? Is try to synchronize user from your Active Directory to our Azure Active Directory. So you have to synchronize user from your self-managed Active Directory to your Azure Active Directory. So if I come back here to my users, as you can see, this is all user I have. And once I will synchronize user, there will be a new user here that will be synchronized. So let me come here and delete this user as well. Okay, so it is deleted successfully. And now to synchronize user, I will use a software called to Azure AD Connect. I will download that. I will download that software, scroll down here, and then click on download. Then open it. I will click on agree, continue, then click on customize, and then install the required components. If you feel confused on how this thing works, you can go to the blog that was written by AWS, that is Office 53 and ADFS AWS blog, and this is the first one. And you can scroll down here, and it's provided with all the steps that you have to follow to do that. So I will follow that steps as well, and they will show you how you can achieve that. So we have to wait a little bit, and then I will, for user sign on, I will choose don't configure it and click on next. For my Azure, I have to enter my admin account and password. Click on next, and it's connecting to Microsoft Online, and make sure this user have a global administrator. And now let us use the existing AD account. I will enter my domain name and then ADFS SVC, and then provide it with password. Click on OK. ADFS ADFS SVC, and then try And then for the password, let me come back to this instance and then check for the password. Sorry, scroll down, decrypt the password and choose the password and paste it here. So it's refused. Let me create a new one. ADFS SVC. ADFS SVC and then enter the password and click on OK. Yes, now it's work. Click on next. Click on next, and then for sync all domains and OUs, I will choose sync only selected domains. I will expand this one. I will uncheck it and check all the users, and then click on next. And then for for other steps, let me come back to the blog, and it is saying you have just choose next, 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 and then start synchronization, and then the synchronization will start. So we have to wait the synchronization to finish, and then once that synchronization will finish, we will go to the portal.office.com and they will open it in our ADFS server, because once the Office 365 will try to redirect that request to our ADFS server, then if I try to open it on my own browser, then that name is not resolved publicly, it's resolved privately. That's why I have to make it or to open it in a browser that is in the same private network, and it is belong to the same DNS server. Then now we exit. Let me come here to my browser, close this one, and open portal.office.com, and then this one will redirect me to the Azure page. And then if I entered my ADFS SVC abdali.com/training.com, it must redirect me to my taking you to your organization. It must be, sorry, have to wait a little bit. Let me open portal.office ADFS svc.com. So let me close this one and open it again, and then open that portal office ADFS svc at mediterranean.com. Yes, nice. And now if I enter my credentials of this user is within my Active Directory, and I have to use the credentials that are fetched in the Active Directory. And once I hit, sorry, ADFS, and so I have found the issue for that problem, and we'll try to update the MS Alt Federation domain, right, and try if it will work or not. So for that, we'll set this computer, just run this command, and then update the federation domain. And now go to Google Chrome and check. Let me open Chrome again, go to portal, use this account to redirect me, and then I will enter the password, and then now it's logged successfully. So as you can see, now I am within that office with this user that is reside within my Active Directory. So how did I find out that problem? I have go to users, and I check my user, and then I scroll down, and they go to sign-in logs and see whether if the sign-in works or not. And then I discovered that the sign-in is failed. Then once you click on that, you see that the failure reason is unable to verify token signature. Then I copy and paste that, then I found this solution. And then once I applied, as you can see, it works now properly. So now this lab came to the end. Thank you for watching, and don't hesitate to share it with your friend, to subscribe, and then like it, and then let me a comment if you like it, and then watch the entire video to understand everything from the beginning, and don't hesitate to share it with your all friends.